I call to order the Torchlight Township regular board meeting of November 15th, 2022 at 7 p.m. Join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. Sharon?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, board. Our normal housekeeping, I will give an abbreviated, since we only have 3 individuals in the audience. And this was pretty evident at the planning commission meeting. People were not close to the mic, so let's conscientiously try to do that tonight.
I always.
There will be 2 opportunities for citizen comments. I will be requesting individuals stay within the 4 minutes in both citizen comment sections and would appreciate everyone keeping their points concise. And with that, I will reiterate that the documents on the website are aligned to the items on the agenda. These are draft documents to provide background information only. Just to be clear, motions were drafted to help the board more quickly get to the final wording and vote on the respective motions. The final motion may look different to reflect the actual action taken by the board. So with that, board, we have 2 sets of minutes to approve. Are there any changes to the minutes to the special board meeting of October 14th, 2022, where our primary discussion was related to the capital plan?
You're doing 14 first?
Yes.
I have none.
I have none.
All right. Hearing none, I will make the motion to approve the October 14th, 2022 special board meeting minutes. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. It is moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the October 14th special board meeting. Any further discussion regarding the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, our second set are the regular minutes for the meeting of October 18th, 2022. Any changes or comments?
I have some.
All right. Go ahead, Sharon.
Okay, thank you. On new business, number 2, it was part of the discussion, but it didn't get into the minutes. I'm not sure how we want to word it in there, but it was referring to the special assessment millage rate being increased. And somewhere we discussed about the time factor on there. And I would like to make sure it gets back in the minutes saying taking effect on the 2023 tax year cycle or tax year period. Taking effect on the 2023 tax year, starting instead of taking. Effective starting 2023 is a better term.
Okay, effective starting 2023.
Yeah, effective starting the year 2023, something like that,
Yeah, well,
tax year.
what I would say it would be part of the December 2023 because we would start collecting it in December.
We don't want to say
right?
December, it's the tax year of 2023.
All right,
It's a calendar year.
tax year.
Okay, so where are you
So on 2,
recommending we insert that?
right after from 1 mil to 1.75 mils, taking, or not, I take that word
Effective.
taking out. Effective starting with the 2023 tax year.
Okay.
$2023 tax year,
Mhm,
correct?
mhm,
All right, and that goes after 1.75 mils.
correct.
Thank you.
And then the same thing, the same wording exactly would be under 5. We talked about it also then, about the being on the 2023 tax bills starting. So I would say the same exact language, starting,
After 2.25 mils?
yes, please.
Your wording was effective starting with 2023 tax year.
But was that in the original motion? That wasn't on the Friday motion, the Friday meeting that we had.
We didn't have any motions at the Friday meeting. That was strictly a working.
But we didn't say when it would
semi-work
begin. We didn't say it was a 23 budget.
We
In-
talked about it,
session.
yes.
In my description,
Okay, all right,
in there it was.
okay.
Because we talked about the budget being
So
that, starting that
so
year.
at this meeting, you did talk about when it would begin.
Yes.
Okay, and you're just making that clear.
It wasn't
You're making
in,
that clear.
it
Gotcha.
wasn't in the minutes
Yep.
stating that.
Yep.
But I think I talked about it several times,
Well, I also, I think, discussed it.
right? So those are my two
All right.
proposed changes.
All right. I didn't have anything. Alan?
Nope, I'm
All
good.
right, then
Now,
you said you were
this will
done.
this will be correcting these minutes then, right?
Yeah.
So it won't show in the following month then? How does that work?
What are you trying to do?
I'm trying to get this type of language into when it was passed and what it was effect. So if it's tonight's meeting that this changes, or is it changing these minutes here?
It's changed in these.
Okay, I'm just making sure
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I don't want to show two different spots is where I'm going back
No.
to.
All right, then if there are no other changes, I will make a motion to approve the regular board minutes of October 18th with changes. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
It is moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the regular board meeting of October 18th, 2022 with changes. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Kath?
Yes.
Correspondence and announcements.
Um, I created a results sheet for the election that I put back there on the table. So if you didn't see it, this is just for the Torch Lake Township voters. Basically straight party ticket, Democrats 200, Republicans 286. For the governor, it was 453 for Whitmer, 439 for Dixon. Secretary of State, 447 for Benson, 440 for Caramo. Attorney General, 438 for Nessel, 445 for DePerno. In Congress, Lawrencer, I don't know how to say that name, I guess. Lawrencer, 395, Bergman, 487. Senator for 37th District, 404 for Connolly, 487 for Damoose. State Legislature, Albro, 395, Roth, 492. I stopped with County Commissioner Rubing, 479, that's all that mattered. Proposal 1 was yes, 546, no, 348. Proposal 2, 495 to 406. And proposal 3, 496 to 414. In Elk Rapids schools, the millage did pass 356 to 209. And what used to be TBA is now called Northwest Educational Services. I don't know why. And their request was 355 to 200. So remember, up at the top, I think significant, we had at the time of the election, 1,260 registered voters. We had 540 voters vote absentee. That's 43% of our voters. We had 377 people that voted in person. That's 30%. So of the 917 total votes we had, that's 73% of our registered voters. So that's pretty darn good turnout, I think.
Are you going to put this on the website?
I am going to put this on the website.
So in the minutes that Veronica is listening to, do you want all these numbers read?
No, I would say
Okay, okay.
refer to the handout.
Okay,
Yeah, refer to the website.
okay.
It's not
Okay.
there today, but it will be there.
All right.
Sharon, say that question again. You don't, about the website? What did you just ask Kathy?
I just asked Kathy if she's going to supply it to the website.
What about the numbers you said?
Does Veronica have to write down every
Oh,
single
oh,
number
for
in
the-
the minutes?
Oh, we don't have to put it in the minutes, you're saying?
Right.
If you're going to put it on the website, you don't have to put all these numbers in the minutes. Thank you. Got it, got it. I do have my ears in tonight, so I don't know what's going on.
It's chilly in the room, that's all.
That's part of it. Battery power.
You should sit where Jason is. You're closer than that way.
Is anything else?
I don't have any other comments now.
All right. Then moving on to the next item. Are there any changes or comments on the agenda?
Can't do that. Can't do it. No, Jason.
Yes, we
In a
can.
board meeting,
Agenda?
yeah. the special
We just
board
can't
meeting.
add to it, Kathy.
Okay, excuse me.
I don't have any comments.
I don't either.
Only in the
All right,
special.
Then, hearing none,
By consent, it's approved.
I will make the motion that the agenda be accepted as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
It is moved and seconded that the agenda accepted as presented. Any further discussion regarding the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda is approved. We will move to citizen comment. We have, gentlemen, anyone wish to make a comment? You got to turn it on. Cheers.
Think I got, there we go.
Yep.
Don't know how many of you know, but James Hunter, the Parks Director, resigned. And we will be conducting interviews for Parks Director this week. We had county administrator interviews last week, and we have narrowed it down to 3 for second round interviews. Those will be the 28th of November, I believe. It's on the website. And the names of the final 3 are Jeremy Scott, Janet Koch, I'm not sure how to pronounce her last name.
She's a former employee.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and Wayne, not sure how to pronounce his last name either, but he is from Lansing. He worked for the state of Michigan for many years.
And what about John Strahl?
Yes, we hired a new airport administrator. I think his first day is tomorrow. Not positive. I think his name is Mark, and I think he's from East Jordan. I haven't met him yet. He will be the new airport director. The road commission meeting, some of you already heard, there were a number of residents here from the Torch Lake Nature Preserve and concerned about handicap parking down there.
Well, I would like it if, at the next board meeting, depending if we get
Which,
anybody, I'd like you to make a comment. I've got it on,
I can't hardly hear you.
loud as I can get. How's that? I'd like you to at least bring it up again that it is a concern of ours that only one parking and that we are putting in additional parking so that it's not going to restrict access. Let's see if we get any commentary on that and then take whatever action we have to after that.
Bert did mention about the signs, and I think they decided they're going to wait to put them up till first thing in the spring.
And that's fine.
Don't quote me on that, but that's
Fine. We're going to try to put a sign up related to the reasons why we were looking at restricting the parking there. And it's for our emergency crew, and maybe people will understand a little more as opposed to thinking we're just trying to shut off the access.
right.
Anything else?
No, I think that's it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
All right, if there's no other citizen comment, we will close that. Next item is consent agenda. Anyone wish to pull a report? I have none.
I have none.
Ellen? Sharon, Kathy? All right, then, since no reports are pulled, the consent agenda is approved by consent. We now move to special reports. Jason is not here. The Planning Commission did meet this past Tuesday. I watched it online. There was discussions around the zoning rewrite, the zoning ordinance rewrite that the steering committee spent a little over a year in putting together, and that dialogue will continue. They will have a regular meeting in December. Kathy, any
Yes,
FOIA requests or updates?
yes. The election is over, and so now the FOIA requests have begun. Before the few that we've gotten, we were all caught up. We were all good to go. But now people are, I have 2 FOIA requests, and interestingly, I don't believe either one of them are legitimate requests in that they're not following the law, so we don't necessarily have to respond. One wanted, challenged 7 of our voters and wanted them to be removed as challenged voters, but the person doing the challenging doesn't live in Torch Lake Township. And that's one of the parts of the law, is that to challenge, you have to live in the township. It's just been very interesting. So I was in looking around, found this FOIA and election records. This is all just about FOIA and election. So I have reading to do ahead for the FOIA. Yeah, so it's just begun, I believe.
Kathy, is our scanned documents online for the public?
Say it again.
The scanned documents that we've been scanning, are they online for the public?
They will be. I don't know that there's access at this point in time yet,
They're
but
still
there
working
will
on 'em.
be.
So, I mean, because that'll save a lot of your work.
It would. And not everything that's being scanned is going to be available to the public eye, if, as I understand it.
What kinds of
Anyway.
things won't be?
Anything attorney-client privilege?
Well, that would make sense.
But that's really about it. Now, if there's something in the election laws, we'll have to see. But at this point, the items that are being loaded are the normal public documents.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you.
I don't think personnel records are going on there, but we will have them on file, but I'm not sure we will be scanning those. There's restrictions on that. I'm not exactly sure what, but we've got to be careful of those.
Mhm.
All right, the financial overview. Not a lot of folks here, so I will read it so that people that listen to this will have an update on the finance. As indicated in the past, any questions regarding the financials can be directed either to the clerk's office or myself. For the current month of October, cash flow was favorable to the budget by $5,000. Total cash flow was negative at $117,000 versus a budget of negative $122,000. On a year-to-date basis, we are favorable to the budget by $232,000. Part of that favorability is due to the ARPA money of $124,000. The general fund is currently favorable to budget by $135,000. That favorability is spread across a number of cost centers. All the other funds are unfavorable by a net of $26,000. The specific line item details can be found on the website under our board meeting information. The file is called Fund by Detail Line. Our cash position remains in good shape for the key funds, as the treasurer's report indicates the balance in the general fund of $817,300. The fire fund, which was increased by $124,000 for the ARPA funds, is now at $512,100. That will be used next year to purchase the new fire truck tanker. The ambulance fund of $354,000 includes the $30,000 down payment for the new ambulance. We will be making the balance of the payment for the new ambulance in December for roughly $276,000. This will be made up of a loan from the general fund of $155,000 as approved by the board, and a reduction in the ambulance fund of $121,000. This will keep the fund above the $200,000 level that I believe is the appropriate minimum balance for this fund. With that, moving to the next item, agenda for board action. We have no old business, and we have 6 items that we will be discussing this evening. So item number 1 is utilizing the ARPA funds. We have to pass a resolution. It's a legal requirement that a resolution is passed specifically stating what the funds will be used for. You have the copy that Sharon was good enough to put together for us. Is there any question related to the resolution 2022-14?
I'll make the motion to declare adopted.
All right. Resolution 2022-14 is approved for the purpose of the ARPA funds towards the Township fire truck tanker. I will second it. Sharon made it. The motion is to approve Resolution 2022-14, the purpose of the ARPA funds towards the Township's fire truck tanker. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none. Kath, would you do a roll call vote, please?
I will. Mr. Cook, you're first.
Yes?
Ms. Schultz?
Yes.
Ms. Wendy Yates says yes. Mr. Martell?
Yes.
And Mr. Merchant's being absent.
All right, thank you.
Approved 4-0.
So the supervisor declares the resolution approved
4-0.
by a vote of 4-0.
And I'll get your signatures later tomorrow.
Okay.
Yep. All right, our second item, you were given the contract from Drought to do the snow plowing for our complex here at CSB and for the South Station. They've done this for quite a while. Board, is there any discussion or comments related to this?
Just that the spelling of drought is DROGT.
Why is there a total of $186 on this bid? That doesn't seem appropriate to the bid. It's just
I think-
individual activities.
It's the activities at the top.
I understand that, but why would you put total?
Well, they're
It's a
saying that-
breakdown of,
Now, but why would you put total? These are the individual, he snow plows, he gets our station 1, it's 58, it's our station here, $58, 28 on the other one, and $100 if we have any salting or sanding. I mean, that's the bid, not the $186.
Yeah, I interpreted that. If we do all 3 of them, it would be a total of 186.
Well, that's true. It just seemed odd.
it's probably just their way of doing their bidding.
Clearly, it's a format of their proposal software, so. I
Right.
have no confusion about.
No, it's
what
not,
it is.
it's not intentional in any way. It's just,
No.
it's just that we're bidding for those individual activities. Sometime in the spring, we only do sanding, for example.
Right.
And they only bill us for whatever they do, so.
Oh, that's true. I know that.
I make the motion to accept the bid from Drought Excavating for our snow plowing.
All right, I will second that. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Our third item.
Do we need to send this proposal back to them?
Yes.
Yes.
You or I, Madam Treasurer?
I'll sign it.
Okay.
then I don't care, the clerk should be saying that.
Okay, just as long as one of us does, I guess, right?
Yep. We'll expect you, Kath.
Oh, wow.
No
Thank you.
confusion.
No
All right, the
confusion.
third item came up from Leslie Myers, and it originated there at the county level. I got it from the gentleman from the fire department. And actually, there's two agreements. The fire and EMS are both separate
No,
since our
fire and
entities-
ambulance.
Ambulance. Because we have two entities, not a combined entity. This organization, after talking with Leslie and Kevin and Ted, you can correct me, but cutting to the chase, they have created this organization. It's been around for a while. And when you join it, you become aligned with all the other townships that are members of this and as a mutual aid. And the conditions within this still are that we don't have to respond if it puts us in a short position with our staff. But it's one of these things, rather than having to go out and do individual agreements across the board, joining this organization lumps everybody into one pile. I think that's a short, brief explanation of what it is. I don't know the status throughout the county at this point.
Some of them are already on already,
Yeah,
maybe
Leslie,
local ones. I think Milton's already on or Elk Rapids. Yeah. Yeah.
so what this does, if we have an individual agreement and that township or entity is a part of this agreement, then our agreement goes away. We don't have to worry about it, and everybody goes. And this is basically in perpetuity, that you have 30 days if you want out of it, but otherwise, once you're in it, you're in it. Have I missed anything?
No, this was all brought up after the Gaylord tornado thing, the
Right.
ACE meeting. And if we ever have a large event like that here in the township, where our resources are overwhelmed, whoever's in charge can call, and we will get outside resources, possibly from Grand Traverse or wherever, that can spare people to come up and help with the cleanup in the event of a natural disaster. And I'm just using that as an example because they're part of the need this agreement. It's a statewide thing. So if they can pull in resources from everywhere.
So-
Grand Traverse responded to Gaylord in a tornado.
It's just advantageous in a major event.
Yeah.
That's really what it is. And for the local, we have the same agreements, and if they join this stuff, we're all covered anyway.
Well, why did that happen without the agreement?
We would be left with local resources.
No, but Gaylord, Grand Traverse responded. What kind of, what were they responding to? Just help, or was there an agreement?
They needed help. They were overwhelmed with instruction.
I know, but they didn't have this agreement. They did? Okay, that's what I'm asking. Okay. So Grand Traverse has an agreement with Antrim County to respond to,
It's a statewide thing, Alan, the neatest thing. It's statewide. It started downstate and it came up here.
so they're part of this box
Yes.
alarm?
That's what it is, Michigan box alarm system. So it depends, how I said, it depends on the nature and they do the calling. It takes a lot off, the pressure off of whoever's the IC in an instance like that. And it just helps get in more resources to the area that needs it.
If you were incident commander in one of those situations, then you could, call dispatch and say, I need more help?
Yeah.
How does that work?
I would just call and I say, we're needing more resources, we're overwhelmed up here, and they would look at the nearest departments probably, and they would put a call in to see if they could free up a unit or something and send it this way. And I think that FEMA's involved in this, so by being part of FEMA's, it opens the door to, I believe, more FEMA aid and grants for a township or an area that's been affected by an event. So there's a lot of positives to this.
What, the one thing, the only thing I've go through my mind as I went through this document is confusion in terms of, I just see another hand in this thing. Now, for example, what's the role of the dispatcher in this whole thing?
They have no control over that, they just send resources. So we still remain in control. If it's something happened here, we're in control of it. All they do is get extra resources, headed your way.
The dispatcher does?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, because we had that event, I don't know if it was this summer or last summer, we had, our ambulances were all over the county. Everybody was called out. We had just a number of, we ended up in Elba. Our ambulance ended up in Elba, I believe. And and it's my knowledge was that's how the dispatcher found people and said, go. Because we had an ambulance available, Elba area did not.
That's within the county there, or this could
Correct,
be
I
outside
understand
of the
that.
county.
That's
Yes.
why, so, but now we're looking, so this basically is an agreement that takes us outside the county.
Yes,
It could.
it could.
It could.
That depends if Ted or I or Al, whoever's in the area, if something happens, we say we cannot release anything because we have to, our primary protection area is the township. So that's, if we say no, it's no. They may ask us why later, but then that's just a brief letter explaining why we couldn't release any resources at that time.
That's a really important statement for our public, and that is that the priority is George Lake Township at all times.
Yes.
The question, though, when I got down into, there's a statement in here, this was under definitions, and there's another part later on in here, number H, serious threats to public health and safety. I made a note here. I said, well, it'd be fire, earthquakes, tornadoes, disease, strong winds. We had 32 hours of very strong winds all up and down the coast here, which was unusual. And so what I'm getting at is, I almost would like to see the agreement. You know, I've seen the agreement where we all the townships, all 15 townships in the county signed a mutual aid agreement. The same language. Basically said, we'll help you, you help us, here's how we do it. And I don't know where that is or how it would match up to what you guys are going to develop in terms of,
All 15 townships don't have a fire or ambulance, so you couldn't get all 15.
well, there was a general agreement, and it's been probably in our file, because I've read it at least once, maybe twice, with regard to how we deal with mutual aid in Antrim County, and we signed it. And so when you talked about they were going to develop rules of procedure here, I said, I'd like to match those to what we have here. Generally, we think, Kevin, we're not going to, hopefully, we'll never have one where we got to call people from other places. I could see us having to go to Traverse City because of the population there kind of thing. Us going there as opposed to them coming to us, but the tornadoes will do it. They'll bring, we'll need help. But this other, what is defined as those disasters is what got to me. Let me see if I can find that one section that I noted.
Alan, this is the agreement. So if you're looking for something.
No,
else-
I'm not looking, hang on. I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for the rules of procedure, which are basically what we used to sign. We signed a mutual aid agreement, which had procedures in it, and that were what we would follow.
Well, the rules and procedures are specified in the operation.
No,
of
they
the
haven't developed
agreement.
them yet.
Well,
They're not developed yet. They're going to sit down as a committee and develop
where
them.
does it say?
Hang on,
that-
let me find it.
That there's no rules or procedures for this? I mean, I think basically what they've said is you're called and you become part of the action there and you take direction from that whoever is in charge of that.
Okay, I've got to go
particular
through this
incident.
individually because I've got too many notes. Just a second.
Well,
You're going to develop your own rules of procedure. What I'm saying is that we don't know what those will be in terms of how they might affect us until they are developed. It almost looked, when I looked at that, I see no problem with forming a group, by the way. I think that's not a bad idea. But I just said to myself when I got into this, that is the cart before the horse. Okay, thank you. Maybe that'll help me. okay, here we are. Yeah, rules and procedures and bylaws, the association shall establish by the member units. They'll establish their rules and procedures. It seems to me that those are going to be not just Torch Lake Township. It seems to me we ought to be able to see those before we would say yay or nay to them. We don't know how they would affect our township. When we say, and again, I'm dealing with the concept, Torch Lake Township comes first. That's in my head. And so that's what I am looking for in terms of being able to say, yeah, this is okay, but I want to know what are we subjected to? Apparently, we will have a representative on this committee from here. That'll be from our township on this committee. And that one got to me, but there was another part here with regard to when you started defining what were some of the things that might call us together. And it wasn't all fire or catastrophe or bombs going off or anything like that. It was a catch-all, which I said, what could that catch-all be? Because I even wrote down disease here as a catch-all kind of thing, or some kind of a contamination. It went beyond what we think of in terms of fire. Kevin, a number of times you guys have a fire, say it's up in Banks Township, and Elk Rapids responds, we respond, East Jordan responds, and you get there, or before you get there, someone says, no, we don't need you, call you off, and I'll go back. Now, did the dispatcher send all of you guys there?
We're requested, if we don't, like, Elk Rapids, Milton Township, we have a automatic mutual aid. So if somebody reports a structure fire within our township, the totals go out for Elk Rapids and Milton also respond.
Okay.
It's automatic mutual aid. Now, if there's a fire up in the Atwood area in Banks Township or Central Lake, they can call and say, could you please send Station 88 with extra personnel and tankers, because we're all rural departments. So a lot of times they're calling for extra tankers and extra personnel, and so we would go. Sometimes, if you're correct, they do call, but the way I look at that, Alan, it's better to be called and not needed than be needed and never call.
Well, would you be?
On to whoever's on scene, determining the factor. And if they call us and then somebody else in a higher rank comes up, takes command, and they can say, well, we don't need this additional resource, and we can cancel it. So that happens sometimes.
Well, we had the big fire with the, the potato processing or whatever it was.
Kitchen Farms.
If the bonfires came out, they called, the guy got on scene, and he knew right away this was overwhelming. He called Central Dispatch, I was listening to all the radio traffic. He said that we need a county-wide alarm for mutual aid. And so that's how it went out on Kitchen Farms. So everybody that could cut loose with the tanker did so. We let one go from here, but we kept one here. Elk Rapids sent theirs, but I think it was Whitewater Township also sent a tanker up to Elk Rapids, so we still had protection in this area.
Now, right now, then, with Milton doesn't have ambulance, but they have fire, and Elk Rapids, if we had, they automatically respond if we had a structural fire here, and we would vice versa to them. Would that happen under this agreement without calling?
Nothing would change.
No, so that's a separate agreement between us and Elk Rapids and Milton, as opposed to the agreement that's in here. In other words, what I'm saying, you're saying that would not change. So
Well,
that's a little bit like a sub-mutual agreement.
Wait a minute, let's be clear. If we have a separate agreement with those three entities and they sign on to this agreement, our individual agreement goes away and it's governed by this.
Yes, and this also, if we don't have an agreement, say we don't have an agreement with Central Lake, this is just an example.
Yep.
They call for us by joining this, we're okay on our insurance. If somebody gets injured or something happens, we're covered on the insurance part.
But you would not have the automatic response to a structural fire in Torch Lake Township from Elk Rapids. That would be gone.
No.
Well,
It's
let me-
still part of this agreement.
Well, wait a minute. Wait a minute, then I'm not understanding. Let me clear, do help me understand. I'm
You
very, okay? Right now, let me just go through this again. We have an agreement. I don't know if you got it written down or not, with Elk Rapids and Milton and us. If any of us have a structural fire, we jump in right away, just with the call. We don't even, there's no request. And then they can say, oh, it's just the kid's firecracker started the grass fire. We're okay, turn it off. Now, in this agreement, only when the incident commander gets there and says, I need help, is Elk Rapids or Milton going to respond? Is that correct?
No.
Well, then,
This is just if you're overwhelmed with something and you need outside resources.
okay, all right. Then where is that defined? Where's that limit in this agreement?
When you say what do you mean a limit?
Well, because there's a point at which they're automatically going to, Elk Rapids is going to automatically respond to all of our fire calls. That's an agreement. That's an agreement, Bob.
Well,
And
if our people need them, they will do that through this agreement.
That's what I'm trying to get at. That is, in other words, when he gets to the fire and you say, it isn't, because it's not a terrorist attack. You don't need lancing or anything like that, but you need help. He's got to go, he will then call dispatch and say, I need more help. Because Elk Rapids on this agreement is void, as I understand, as I see it.
that's what, Bob, you did say that. You said that the first one would go away.
Right, because when this is initiated, it would be initiated. Now, if you're saying Milton's gonna get in their truck and automatically come without Kevin calling, that may be unnecessary for them to do that, right? You're asking for the help because you need the help.
If you have structure fire, they're all going to be dispatched. And if Elk Rapids doesn't sign on to this, then we still have a mutual agreement for Elk Rapids. They're going to still be notified. If Elk Rapids doesn't go into this, they're going to be dispatched either way with our old agreement or the new agreement. Nothing's going to change. This is just out, this is expending it a little bit outside the boundaries.
That's where I
Alan.
don't see the definition of that. When does this take place? I mean, it's.
What
very-
takes
obviously
place?
It's catastrophe type stuff
Does it kick in?
that this comes into play. And
When it's needed, whenever it's needed.
These next door neighbor kinds of things should somehow also be defined, which they were at one point.
When dispatched,
And
Send them out.
that's all I'm getting at, because
when
uh,
they're called.
I think we want to respond. We want to take care of whatever we can help, wherever we can help. But my point is that I don't want to have that lost. And I think that this could lose it at some point, because it says that the incident commander's got to say, I need some help. Or is this only if it's outside the county help you're talking about? Okay, I don't see that said in here, Ted. It's not clear to me that that's in here, that's the kind of catastrophe we're talking about.
Well, I think because it's a state, when you read if you go on here and read the MCLs on the first page, I have not done that. But in my discussion with Leslie, it's basically to give our area, the northern part, membership in this, so that then when they call, we're going to respond without looking for a separate agreement for it.
Okay, now let me
So,
check one
the
thing, 'cause
urban-
what just went through my head, that I thought that in here it said that all other agreements would be null and void. Maybe I'm thinking of other things. Let me take a look. Let me look a minute.
I think what Leslie was saying when she told me those words, I think those were my words that I got from her, is the fact that this becomes an umbrella agreement for all of the townships.
See, that would be those kind of preamble things would be in here, would be really, she talks about the Constitution and this Michigan thing, and there should be a statement in here with regard to that this does not preclude general mutual aid that might happen in lesser incidents than what is stated in
I'll tell you
here.
what I believe this is a good thing for us to do. We have 30 days. If we don't like it after the fact, to get out of it.
Well, I
And-
just, all I'm asking, Bob, I don't want to, there's nothing wrong with this idea, but I also like what we have now.
Well,
I really
that's-
do.
Let me finish. If in fact, there isn't a preclusion from keeping our gentleman's agreement with Milton and Elk Rapids, if those agreements can stay in effect and not be eliminated, or if they're eliminated, if we do our own agreements, we can have the lawyers figure out if that's a problem or not.
Is there an agreement between, an actual written agreement with Milton and Elk
Well, you
Rapids
said
on
there
our
was.
structural fire?
Alan, wait a
Just a
minute.
second. Is there an agreement between you guys written down?
I had one that I found a while back that was, I do believe signed by Chief Lawson, which was a county-wide mutual aid agreement.
Yeah, I know that one.
That one was implemented, but I don't know, I did not see one, when I first took over, I remember seeing something from Milton, but I never seen anything in regards to Elk Rapids. And I'm not saying it wasn't there,
Just something we've always done, I bet.
yes, and this is, I can assure you 100%, if this goes into effect, that is not going to affect our auto mutual aid development, Elk Rapids, Milton, and vice versa. Anytime there's a structure fire in this township, they're still going to get dispatched out at the same time we are, and if Elk Rapids has a structure fire, we're going to, because it works best for our area doing this. And at any time that, like here for us, for example, if we pull up on scene at 2 o'clock in the morning and we determine this fire is going to need a lot of water, I can still call Banks and Central Lake and whoever and get them rolling. But that's a request coming from me or Ted or Al, whoever's on scene, asking for additional resources to get more water in.
Okay, that's good, Kevin. Thank you. It's very helpful. That's
When
very
you're-
helpful.
Yeah, when you're dispatched, unless they have a catastrophe somewhere else or have a fire of their own nature in their own township, they're going to respond,
Yeah, okay.
period.
Okay, that's that's my big concern. I wanted us to make sure, because we're isolated, you know? We got the lakes between us and the rest of the
Okay,
county.
Bob, do you want a motion on this?
I've written two motions. One related for ambulance services and one for the fire services. Leslie requested that we do that, so.
Will this become a regular report to us? Because we're going to have membership there.
No,
We're not going to get reported as to what they do?
we probably won't ever get sent out very far.
No,
We could
no, no, no.
probably-
I'm talking about, this group has meetings. They have regular meetings and we have a representative there. Will we be getting reports on
It's
that?
the representative, it's part of the 911 board, Alan, and we do have a representative that goes to the 911 board.
Well, no, they're talking in here about let me find it. We're sending a representative to this group. I think, hang on.
What says,
It's part of the emergency management group and included in the 911 group.
Where does it say that?
That's where it got established from.
Okay, let's see.
section 3 is the executive board,
Yeah,
and, whether we're asked to join that board or not, it seems like there's divisions, and whether or not our county is a division and it would have a representative that's appointed or elected either by the county commission or however that's going to get done. If they have public hearings, then or meetings, we ought to be able to get a copy of it from whatever source is defined at the time.
well, again, it says that this is under section 4. The executive board shall meet regularly and conduct business and to consider the publishment of rules, written procedures, and bylaws of the group, which shall govern the executive board meetings, fine, and other such relevant matters as the executive board may deem necessary. Again, I don't suspect there'll be any problem, but I don't know. These things grow, and I don't want Torch Lake Township forgotten in any way.
Alan, I think we've gotten your point.
What?
And I've gotten your point, and we will follow up and continue to inform the board, but I'd like to move forward and make a motion and move on with business. And if not, I'll just.
Well, I would say, I would like to get a little bit more clarification. I have no problem with the idea, but I don't want us to lose this mutual. I don't want them to say to you, you can't do this anymore, you got to go through us. That's what, and this board could do that.
Alan, then you can vote no.
Well, listen to my point. That's what I'm telling you. I'm saying, I think my point is valid. I think it's good. And I have no problem with the whole idea, but it seems I have some things that I'd like to have cleared up.
Well,
You can
that's
vote
fine.
yes if you like to,
Thank you.
but that happens often,
going-
doesn't it, Bob? Go ahead.
We're
Go ahead
gonna
with your
move the
motion.
Did you contact Leslie when you were reading your
I've
packet
had
at
no
all?
time to contact this whatsoever. This is the first time I've seen it
Well, that's fine.
or heard about it.
You can call Leslie Myers as well.
Well,
And feel
okay,
free to do
again,
that.
I really wish we had more opportunity to have Leslie
That's
Myers
fine.
here and we could have asked her those questions.
Ted, you're part of the 911 board. You want to add anything to Alan's comments? It was through emergency management then.
We established a division within the county, but I don't think which departments are on it. There are representatives for it.
I'm
Because
not
this has been around for a bit. Since it's at a state level. So we're just getting asked now, Leslie is expanding the scope of who is involved. and
She's
therefore-
wanting to protect the county.
Right. So she's basically saying, hey, as a county, you should be a part of this thing because as a township, then you're part of the county and you should be a part of it and be participating in it. I think that's basically the bottom line. Operationally, we can figure that out once the executive board gets appointed and they run their meetings. If we're not happy with that, we have a 30-day out.
And the four individuals they select, after they do that, fire chiefs then were issued like a district number.
Yeah.
On there. So, but I am almost 100% positive, Alan, that representative from me, he said, we do not control anything that goes on between you and any other department. All this is a resource management type deal, that if we need outside resources, we can get them. But he was clear
about
about
the
it.
day-to-day operations.
Yeah, it does not affect us. Ted, Alan, whoever's in charge still has authority, having jurisdiction.
Right.
They can't oversee us on anything.
I think it helps just with the fact that FEMA could be involved quicker and all the other agencies that we don't have quicker access to also. This would give us quicker access also, which is a positive.
And I can't keep issues if we get any updates from NEPA, I can issue that.
Well, the thing I'm looking at, if any of those even creates somewhat of a cloud over the emergency services in this township to our people, that's where we got to read it.
Understand.
All right.
I think it's a positive and not a negative, having a cloud. Right. I make the motion to approve the resolution in 2022-15 related to the agreement or,
I'm sorry. No, we don't have to do a resolution. We only
oh,
have to
okay,
do
we're not doing a
motion. So
resolution. Okay,
I put that on your desk. You each have one on your desk. So I'll make it. Motion to
Okay.
approve Torch Lake Township Ambulance Department to be part of the agreement of the Michigan Mutual Aid Box Alarm System Association for Ambulance Services. Do I have a second?
you want you doing the ambulance or
It's-
fire?
I said ambulance
Ambulance
first. It's
first.
3A, number 3A.
Okay. 3A, you're doing the ambulance first, okay.
So do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, Sharon. Discussion on the motion? Hearing none? All those.
Wait a
in-
second. I do want a discussion. I'm going to vote yes, and I'm going to say this to the public. But if I ever see a cloud on this agreement over your protection, I will shout very, very loud about it. I think it's a good idea statewide, but within our county right now and the mutual aid that we have, we're very protected, very much so by the other departments in our area. So I will vote yes now because I think it'll be okay, but I just don't trust this kind of growth and bureaucracy and overall look. We're doing fine. We're doing fine. But the Gaylord incident with that tornado indeed was a lesson for our area. It's probably one of the most northern tornadoes to hit Michigan. So I am going to vote yes, but that's my
Ellen,
discussion.
if there's a problem, I'll be right there with you arguing.
And I'll be at your other side.
So, all right.
Oh, I get
All
to bring
those in
up the
favor
rear.
say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And I'll make the second motion. Motion to approve the Torch Lake Township Fire Department to be part of the agreement of the Michigan Mutual Aid Box Alarm System Association for fire services. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Discussion on the motion. Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
So
All
the
right.
resolution,
There's no
It's
resolution.
There is, right.
okay,
It just has an effective date.
I got him.
And it just has an effective date on that agreement and signatures on the back to
Yep.
send to Leslie.
We'll take care of that. All right, next item. Geez, we're on path to get done in an hour, but that's all right. Next item is the
Me.
decree related to the Fire Prevention Week. Sharon, this is yours.
I'm happy to have our firemen here tonight, parts of them. On the back of the decree that I typed up, it shows Fire Prevention Week of being in October 9th to the 15th. So there's some detailed information on that. But I make a decree that the week of October 9th to the 15th, 2022 is Fire Prevention Week, having the theme of Fire Won't Wait, Plan Your Escape, be acknowledged at this November board meeting. Torch Lake Township Board, staff, and employees of the township, along with the constituents of this community, want to let our fire department team know that we are very much appreciative of their outstanding dedication and service provided to our citizens. We are proud of the men and women who serve as firefighters and be a part of the department team. They are first class. We all wish them continued safety and ongoing training and education for many years ahead. The fire team members consist of, and I want to mention their names, Kevin Lane, Fire Chief, Ted Schroeder, Assistant Chief, Alan Davidson, Captain, Greg Sumrex and Ron Pulowski as lieutenants, Mike Velding, Bob Hawkins, Casey Lorenz, Wendy Davidson, Jeff Dawson, Donovan Stone, and James Hunter, firefighters and volunteers. All deserve a round of applause. Thank you.
I cannot thank you guys enough for.
I'm not done,
that-
Alan.
The way you dealt with that storm. Excuse me, go ahead.
Okay, the motion was made by Sharon Schultz, seconded by,
I'll second it.
and all in favor say aye.
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 Again, you guys were 32 hours of storm. We had even our own personal equipment out helping people with trees and things. But it was not good. But you guys were out there for a long time, and as was the power company. They were an amazing group of people as well. But thank you.
Sharon, you have item number 5 for the tax collections.
Last month, we took care of Central Lake. We had their agreements in hand. I did not have Elk Rapids in hand, and so I want to bring that, now that I have it in hand, I want to get it settled. And Elk Rapids agreement along with the Northwest Education Services, which was the former TBA. I want to make the motion to accept the agreements presented for collection of 2023 summer tax property.
This says 2.
We're in 23.
Okay.
It's wrong. I'm reading,
That's
so
fine.
type my 23 taxes agreement for Elk Rapids Public Schools and in conjunction with the Northwest Education Services.
I will second that.
Nothing's changed. It's all the same for the last 16 years or whatever.
Any question on the motion, changing the date? Remember, guys, my motions are drafts.
Mhm.
So if there's errors or whatever, we just fix them.
Yeah,
So the motion to accept agreements presented for collection of 2023 summer school property taxes of $2.50 per parcel.
we don't even need that in there. Central Lake didn't have that in there, so I was just reading it the way Central Lakes was. Keep it consecutively the same.
All right. Property taxes was Elk Rapids Public School in conjunction with Northwest Education Services. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 6. In your package, you were given the email that I received from Mr. Comey regarding his request for a street light at the corner of Bay Colony and US 31. The township will be responsible for paying that installation and then a monthly fee for operation. Board, any discussion, any comments, any issues?
That corner needs a light. I knew that. I agree.
Then just keep it simple. I will make the motion to approve the installation of a street light at the corner of Bay Colony Road and US 31. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Alan. Motion has been moved and seconded to approve the installation of a street light at the corner of Bay Colony Road and US 31. No question on the motion. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
So
Motion passes.
us just saying so will make it happen.
Well,
Yes.
Sharon said, yes, we will end up sending a letter to consumers.
I usually call them and get it started
Okay,
and ask what they need from there on, but they usually make sure I have the minutes reflecting that, so.
okay. All right, board. The board discussion for tonight, the compensation committee submitted the report. If you'll recall that when we were looking at the annual meeting, one of the things that we threw out there was to put together a compensation committee. Now, my understanding was there used to be one. So we agreed that, and the board agreed that we would put 3 members on there. They've put their work and effort into it. I think they've produced a very professional report. I would like to thank Denise Walker, Peg Osmus, and David Nussdorfer for their time and effort in preparing the report. The report is informative for both our citizens and the board. I know they conducted interviews with key individuals and did a lot of research to pull together this information. Again, I'd like to thank these 3 citizens for their efforts. It was done as a volunteer, and they agreed when I made the call to them. Board, I indicate that this would be part of the input for consideration during the budgeting process. As you have had a chance to review the report, I would like to get your impressions. And Sharon, I'll start with you.
I gave them lots of information along the way that they requested, a lot of documents, budgets, reports they asked for. They were very thorough. They were overwhelmed in the beginning because they understood that every township is unique in their own way of how they conduct and operate businesses. The township, this township is unique in the fact, in the way that we have our own fire and ambulance departments, which many of them, which most of them, all of them don't have it individually. They tried to not name names. They tried to look at positions during their conversations. I read the reports, and the only thing I had that I would be the very, very last thing when we talked about board of review. I don't know, you want us to go in detail or look at anything?
No, just generally what,
Yeah,
I mean, if you find something to highlight,
well, it's per meeting. They use the board of review as per meeting, and they gave me the example of Milton and Elk Rapids and so forth, a meeting, that was a day, where I explained to them that we consider, like March Board of Review, we have a daytime and nighttime. We consider that not a daytime meeting, we consider that 2 meetings. So it's $100. So they didn't reflect it in here that we do pay the same. They forgot probably in their notes. They were looking at others for the day, where we do it for the day, but we do it per meeting. Other than that, they had spreadsheets. They showed me, they had me look at their spreadsheets, and if anything jumped out wrong, which I found a few things that were, and they were trying to really diligently work on it. So
overall, you're pleased with the report.
I'm overall, yes.
Commentary. Kathy, your thoughts?
I don't have anything specific. I'm just glad that we've reinstituted this committee, because I think it helps when we are talking budgets to take ourselves outside of this box and see what else is going on in communities around us, just to try and stay level.
Alan?
No, I think I found nothing with it. Just in the short time that I was supervisor, I saw so many changes and so many more responsibilities that we had to do. The big one was the freedom of information stuff that started in much more of it is what happened. And that was major. Yeah, I think the idea that you put an overall of 3%, I think that's fair. For our wages. I think it's actually a little high personally. I shouldn't have, Jason's not here, he won't like that, but I won't, if I say it, I think it's a little high, Jason. But anyways, but I think it was an extremely good report. The thing I always look at, and we've done this for years, what do the other people pay? We look at them. And then do they look at us and say, what do the other people pay, and we're the other people then? So I'm not sure how this thing goes back and forth based on what we do and what our responsibilities are. I mean, you see, I'll be very honest with you. I always think that the 3 people there, treasurer, clerk, and supervisor, should be at the same level, should get the same pay. I mean, their responsibilities are major. But that's just a thought. But no, it's a good report, and I thought it was fine. I wish we had more money for people like the Planning Commission and the ZBA kind of thing, because when they make very important decisions, and they spend a lot of time doing it, but
They thought they were volunteers.
well, it's almost that. I mean, it's
Well, they were shocked to get employment. They thought they were all volunteers, so.
yeah, right. But they have to do a lot of work, and I want them to do a lot of work. I want them to dig in and look in depth at what they're doing, because it affects all the people in the township. Anyways, yeah, I know, no questions.
Bob?
I had a number of things. Sounds like the supervisor makes too much money. I would kind of think twice about that, but that was in the summary of findings 1A. Pretty close across the 3 townships, Alan, to your point. I think their identification of the clerk's office as, not only the clerk, but also all the supporting staff that it takes to function in the clerk's office was an observation on their point.
All
On
the
their
supporting staff is 2 people.
Well, we've had other people come in and help. So they at least recognize what was going on as part of their review.
Mhm.
I think that the comment that they talked about to Alan's point where the rate for our zoning shares, I mean, folks, we made a huge change. We basically doubled them this year.
Yes, we did.
And I still, and I'm in agreement with Alan, I mean, people forget that they not only have the meeting time, which can be 2 or 3 hours, but the prep time that they have to go through. You know, you're back to 7 to 8 potential hours and you're making $12 an hour or something. So I think it was an observation on their part, but that doesn't mean we need to change how we look at our people in the township. Under summary findings number 3, I think they identified what we look at as differentiating our elected officials from other townships, because there are different things that we have between the fire and the ambulance. So I think that they're recognizing that there is some leeway for board discretion in evaluating this. I look at the 3% that they recommended. I think, I forget if we did 3 or 5% last year. What did the county do last year? 4%. So we did 4% last year. I think given the current inflation that is being experienced, I believe that 3%, we need to evaluate that when we get into the process beginning in December and January. If the inflation rate still is running at 6 or 8%, 3% may not be the appropriate. Now, I would not say I'd want to embed a 6 or 8% increase, because now you're going to start taking those changes and multiplying that effect. But I don't think we want to say 3% would be a lock. I look at the suggestion regarding the treasurer. I think that was kind of an eye opener for me. I know that Sharon does a tremendous job, and there are, you know, if in fact Sharon is not in the range of other treasurers, we need to make an accommodation for that. Back to your point, Alan, that, you know, what are other people paying? We need to recognize if in fact we're underpaying our treasurer, we should discuss that. The board of review, yeah, that I agree that
They
didn't
just got
take that,
confused.
which
Yeah.
is fine. So overall, I thought it was a very good report. They hit a lot of hot buttons, and as far as their recognition of the ambulance workers and our fire team, I think again they're pointing out the sensitivity that there's not a lot of those folks running around. We're going to have to be competitive in the market. And quite honestly, I don't care if I lead the market. I want to make sure, to your point, Alan, that our services, the first responders, are well compensated, appropriately compensated, and we are fully staffed at all times. So whatever that takes, I would, in reading this, I saw Kalkaska was somewhat ahead of us, and they're a big competitor to us. So for people, so we've got to keep that at the forefront as we go through the budget. So overall, I think it was a good step in the right direction for us, and it brought some good points out for us to consider.
I agree totally.
So I thank them. If they're watching, great. If not, I will be sending them a separate email. I've already sent
I think
one. But
Peg's left town already, and
yeah. All right. So the last thing was information only, which is related to our capital plan, where we are. And again, I have put together a presentation basically, and for purposes of the recording, I'll go through the package so that then people will have the ability to listen to that and then tie it back to the pitch. The board approved the capital plan at the last board meeting. The input I've received was favorable in nature and achieves a level of awareness to people of the cost to the township to provide best-in-class services to our community by our first responders. This first page is a summary of what we have done. We passed the new road millage and embarked on a 10-year plan to redo all of the 18-plus miles of the township roads by 2031. A renewal of this millage will be required in 2025/26 to complete the program. We purchased a new ambulance for $305,000 and increased the millage to pay the vehicle off by 2024. That will be the December tax bill that will pay off the ambulance. We also purchased a new tanker truck for the townships that we could maintain our OSI insurance rating for our homeowners. We raised the millage rate and obtained a loan from the general fund with final repayment of that loan in December of 2026. The purchase price was $440,000. Items are not cheap, therefore the capital plan needs to look out into the future, and that's outlined on the second page. The roads will be done in 2031 with an expected life of 25 years. The next 10-year cycle will begin in 2047. Now that sounds like a long time away. It is. I won't be around, but the people that we are leaving the township into their hands in the future will have that responsibility. The current 10-year cycle is expected to cost between $3.5 and $4 million if costs do not rise at a greater rate than 5%. When we did the estimate, we used an assumption of 5%. If in fact oil products start going up higher than that, we will have to revisit the millage. The next 10-year cycle, assuming the same 5%, with the time period in between, is roughly $10 million to do the roads starting in 2047. I have an aggressive plan for the ambulance. If we keep the 0.4 mill rate for capital expenditures, we can order a second ambulance in 2025 with delivery in late 2026 at an estimated cost of $375,000. Maintaining the 0.4 mill rate will allow paying off that ambulance in 2028, at which time, if we so desire, we can decrease it to 0.1 mil. And over the course of the next 20 or 25 years, at that millage rate, they'll have cash to be able to replace those two ambulances. The plan would be,
That's because of the 5% that you put in there?
well, the 5% is what we would
Yeah.
look forward to. And there's a 2.5% assumption for the tax base. We looked at the growth of the tax base, assessed value, tax value. It averages 2.9% over the last 19 years.
Okay.
So I use 2.5% to be conservative. If you know, the future boards have to understand that they have to evaluate what the cost structures are. And so the plan has to be updated each year in the sense of knowing, hey, costs have gone out of control. It's going to grow from this point. The millage rate's not going to be sufficient to cover the costs. They're going to have to make changes. The idea here is to give them a roadmap to get there.
Yeah, okay.
Then the hard one is the fire equipment. They're expensive. We have another tanker due for replacement in 2028 and a pumper in 31-32 with construction times for delivery of 1+ years from the order date. The second tanker is estimated to cost $600,000, and the additional pumper will be an additional $875,000.
Wow.
I pushed the millage in order that we would be able to purchase these vehicles for cash or minimal borrowings from the general fund with full payment completed by 2034. At that time, the board could consider reducing the 0.75 mill rate based on cost estimates for replacing the other pumper, which will come due in 2042. That's a plan. It is up to each board, as I said, to revisit these cost estimates and maintain the necessary millage to ensure we do not burden the township with these large ticket items and no cash to pay for them. If anybody would like to review the calculations of what I did, feel free to give me a call. We'll set up an appointment. I'll walk you through the Excel spreadsheets that I use. Any questions?
No, very good. Thank you, Bob.
All right. With that then, citizen comment? No citizen comment. Board comment. Kathy, we'll start with you this month?
No.
No? All
No.
right. Sharon?
I would just like to wish everyone a very blessed, happy Thanksgiving holiday. Be safe and enjoy whatever blessings you have out there.
Excellent. Alan, you're next.
I have no comments. Thank
All
you.
right, I have one. I want to announce that we have completed the capital program work that Bill Peterson and myself set out to do back in December of 2020. A large number of projects were completed, and the direction/oversight by Bill is why these projects are now done. For his work, on behalf of the township, I want to thank him for these efforts. At this time, there is one last project, the new parking at the Nature Preserve, that is still open, but we are hopeful if the snow holds off, that it will be completed in the next couple of weeks. Therefore, I spoke with Bill and that I would be ending the deputy supervisor role effective November 30th, 2022. So I've indicated the projects have been completed. It's his effort that assured that, and I thank him for his leadership. With that, I make the motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion to adjourn has been seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting is adjourned.
Can I ditto your comment?
All right.
Thanking him.